Hello, and welcome to this video. I'm going to just do a brief, kind of the oversimplified version of how to recognize karmic people, because karmics can be lots of things, not just people. How to recognize karmic people and how to recognize when we are either one, acting in the role of karmics ourselves, or B, when we are, I'm going to say, putting ourselves or keeping ourselves in karmic situations. And I'll do different videos on how to unfold those. But for right now, it seems like it would be helpful to just be able to recognize when these things are happening. Now, karmic people, whether it's us, well, usually when we are with a karmic, it's because we are in a karmic role. We are still needing to heal things. We are in avoidance of doing the things that we really know are good for us and good for others, not being accountable. We're reactive, combative, and most important indicator is stuck in victim-villain mode. And usually that also gets wrapped up in tandem with rescuer, rescuee mode. And in fact, let's just make that the main thing for this video to keep it a little short. So you can recognize when you're acting out a karmic part because you will notice your mindset being in victim-villain mode. Now, this is the key indicator you will notice. That's how you know that you're getting off of the karmic path and getting onto the divine path, because you will become self-aware that you are doing these things. And whether that's through someone else pointing it out, or you notice yourself sabotaging things, whatever it is, you will start to observe yourself doing these things. You will recognize when another person, like let's say somebody gives you some feedback about your not being accountable, or that they feel like you're not putting enough effort in to be equal partners in like some form of relationship. And if you feel like they are misunderstanding you, or like you've just got so much going on in your life that you can't possibly be accountable to, or drink more water and take care of yourself, or add one more thing on, or you feel like they've got it so much easier than you do, so how could they possibly understand what you're going through? Right there, you're in victim-villain mode. You are feeling like you're a victim and villainizing them, and then as an ironic consequence, becoming the villain yourself by neither making sure that they have the full story so that they can understand. And you're not only hurt people. So when, even though a lot of us have been seriously victimized in our lives, when we allow our whole psyche to be taken over by the mindset of, well, I've been victimized before, we become the villains and end up victimizing other people. And oftentimes, that's why we get faced with karmics. Like, it often feels like, why? I've already been through a hard enough life. Why am I attracting these people who use me and abuse me and misunderstand me and don't let me have fun and things like that? It's not that you deserve it. This reality is one where like attracts like. If you are in a victim-villain mindset, and if you're in that mode, you're going to attract other people who are also in that mode. And you're going to create a synergy with them where you keep victimizing each other and villainizing each other and going back and forth with that. Now, when you start to become aware, conscious, enlightened enough, when you wake up through one thing or another, feedback from others, making big messes in our lives, things of that nature, whatever it is, when you become aware of it, you probably first are going to observe these things happening in other people before you even recognize that you're doing it. And what you'll notice is that, like, victim-villain mindset in particular, let's say that you have a partner, a romantic partner of some kind, and they are doing something that, well, you just don't like it, you know? You're allowed to just not like something. It's acceptable, you know? Maybe they leave things on the counter. Maybe they forget to turn the lights off. Um, maybe they don't fold laundry the way that you like to fold your laundry. Whatever it is, like, in a healthy interdependent relationship, you should be able to feel comfortable just saying, "Hey, you know, I really want to fold my own laundry. I'm just particular about it. It's nothing to do with you. I just like doing it the way that I do it. You know, I know that I'm going to get it in the washer, out of the dryer when it's warm, and get it folded so there's no wrinkles, and I like that. And I'm totally cool with doing that for myself. And know that they're going to like that you know yourself that well. And, like, yeah, that's great. That's cool. Like, they're not necessarily going to need to be, you know, to feel special. Like, no, 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 you got to let me do it. That's my job, you know, or you do too much, you know. No, like, you should be able to say, hey, I don't like that, and I do like this, and hear from them, oh, I appreciate that honesty and that feedback. That's great. And likewise, you should be able to hear that. Now, oftentimes when we are with a karmic, somebody who is still, you know, not quite aware of what's going on, I should say self-aware of what's going on. Let's say you tell them, you know what, I really would like your assistance in making sure that the lights are off when we go to bed, and the heat is turned down to a comfortable level, and that there are no condiments left out on the counter. Right? Like, these are things that don't really need explanation, right? It cuts down on the electricity bill. It cuts, you know, it makes sure that you sleep well, because temperature does play an important part in healthy sleep, and it means everybody's being accountable for their own mess cleaning, right? And when either our divine partners are in karmic mode, or when we are interacting with a karmic, say a third party karmic that we've gotten entangled with to learn more lessons, their reaction is usually going to be reactive. It doesn't matter how kind you say it. It doesn't matter if you write it down, if you speak it, if you whisper it, if you yell it, if you text it, if you call it, if you got a skywriter in the sky to write this loving message. You do the sandwich method, all the stuff. You use your I statements. When someone else is in karmic mode, they're in victim villain mode. And what they're going to their reaction is going to be assuming that you are criticizing them, or trying to control them or attack them, or that you're not seeing how many good things that they do. You're just picking at them for the negative things that they do, which can happen. Like, when usually, you know, like attracts like. And so whether we're with our divine partner or we're with the karmic, we're, you know, if we're feeling attacked, the other person is going to be feeling attacked. We're feeling like a victim, they're going to feel like a victim. If we're feeling like a villain, they're going to feel like a villain. That's how that works. And that's why the inner work is so important, but it does help to be able to recognize the people in our lives that are playing these karmic parts. And with somebody who is aware enough, or who is your divine match, sure, they might have an initial reaction that is a little reactive, but even that is going to be very mild. And you will notice more so in you know, I say the moments or the days after any sort of an argument or anything like that, to where they'll reapproach you, and with a evolved understanding, or they'll try to get further understanding. Like, hey, you said that you needed this, and I just want to make sure that I understand the value in it for you, or what you're seeing can be the value in it for me. Or they'll come back with a genuine apology for something that they did or said, and it isn't forced, you know. Whereas a karmic often won't. A karmic might say, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry I made you feel that way. Or, I won't do it anymore. I just won't do it. And then, 4, 5, 6 times later, you're like, okay, maybe there's something that you could do to help you remember to do the thing you said you're doing, because just saying, I'm not going to do it anymore is clearly not effective for you. And that's that moment when you need to recognize that this is for you to heal, and this there if you're allowing your boundary to be broken that many times, then that is the karmic lesson in that. Set your boundary, set your boundary, and don't go with anything else. And if somebody else is making messes, you go where there's no mess, or just simply say, hey, look, I'm not going to be responsible for going around the house and picking up everybody's dishes. I'm going to leave that for everybody else. And if we end up with a cabinet without any clean dishes in it because people didn't bring their dishes in, or nobody did the dishes, I'm not going to get my energy wrapped up in that. I'm going to take care of my dish, and I'm going to be happy with that, because I'm worthy of cleaning up my own messes and not cleaning up anyone else's messes, And karmics also, because they're usually pretty wrapped, well, in keeping in line with the theme of the victim-villain thing, oftentimes karmics will have really serious stuff that they've been victimized for in the past that really plays on our empathy. And it really puts us to the test with our own self-care and boundary setting abilities, because if you were with somebody who's just a complete asshole and they never had to deal with anything hard in their lives, it'd be easy to say, yeah, you just get out of here, right? But when you're with somebody who really has a trail of scars behind them, it feels like it's more challenging to have boundaries with them. And oftentimes when in karmic mode, they will use that. Like, oh, well, shoot, I used to be there. Oh, I can't do that. I can't help you with that. My joints are really killing me. Or my back's really killing me. Or, I did have that surgery years ago. Or I can't do this because I'm not getting enough sleep. Or because you're not doing this thing for me. If you would just change, I could change and we would be all better. Or, man, this other person is just really upsetting me and I just can't think straight and it's just making me be a dick to everybody else. Or this person isn't picking up after their pet and then this thing happens and then and it's endless. It really is endless. It's not a judgment in there. That's why I'm using examples from my own experience. Like, we do that when we're in karmic mode. And we often try to approach someone who's in that karmic mode from the space of, I'm just not explaining enough. Or they're just mad right now, I'll come back later and try again. Or I just need to try another method. Instead of just simply grounding ourselves and really recognizing, okay, where's my self-worth line in here? And because clearly if they're feeling like victim villain, like either I'm villainizing them by giving them, constructive feedback, or by asking them to not do something that I need for self-care, like, hey, I need to have some space after work. I need about an hour just to unwind. And if they take that as a, like, you saying, oh, well, you don't want to spend time with me, or if you say, hey, I need you to know that I cannot keep talking with you while I'm at work. Like, you can message me, but I might not be up, I'm going to be busy. I'm working. I can't message you all the time. And I just need you to slow it down or limit the amount of texting that you do because I use my phone while I'm at work. And yeah, there's going to be, you got different people, like somebody who is hearing you, though, who is capable of hearing you, is going to at least, experiment, modify. Okay, is this time good? Is this amount good? And, when you're not responding, they're definitely not going to be upset about it. They're going to get, no, yeah, you're working, it's all good. Whereas someone who's in karmic mode is going to likely get more and more insecure as time passes and you don't answer. And again, no judgment. I'm still learning that one, but that's how you can tell, like, who's in what stage and what stage you're in. Like, if you're comfortable with spaces of silence between you and your partner, your friends, your coworkers, things like that, and you don't feel insecure when they're not giving you full attention at any given time, you're doing good. Like, if you're comfortable busying yourself. Now, that doesn't mean you never have an urge to reach out to someone, or you never feel like you want to know if they're thinking about you, or you just wait for them to reach out to you. No, that's not necessarily that. But in moments when you recognize that they're at work, or they're doing other things, or they're in a mood or whatever, they're dealing with their own karma, all that stuff. But if you feel insecure about it, you feel afraid, you feel worried for them, you feel like they might need you, or you feel like if you don't reach out, the world will fall down, then you're playing into that karmic space. Like, if you don't allow them to just keep overriding your boundaries and doing all this stuff, or like, well, they've had a traumatic past. If I'm not compassionate with them and letting them do this stuff that will frustrate me, then I'm the bad guy. Like, you're still in karmic mode too. And that's it. It's the same thing. It works also the same way with family members, friends, coworkers, or even like customers. You can recognize somebody who's playing a karmic role in your life as a customer almost easier than you can with people that you regularly interact with. It's going to be that person that comes in and they come in, they're like, how much does it cost to change my headlights? And you're like, that's a standard $50. And they go, oh man, that's a lot of money. Right there. They are playing the victim role, and they're testing you to see if you're going to play. Are you going to be the villain? Are you going to say, oh yeah, that price is a lot, and negotiate? Or are you going to be mean and be like, well, you can go somewhere else? Or are you going to simply say, you know what, it's a very good price, and I'm very comfortable with it. It's totally understandable if you want to do some price checking around. We're here when you'd like to schedule an appointment, and then go to your work. Go do something else. You're not hurting them by walking away from that situation. And at that point, they still have not reconciled within themselves whether or not they're going to pay that price, and there's really nothing else for you to talk about until they do. Because otherwise, you're playing the game. When you try to build value or explain yourself or say, well, this place charges this much and this place charges that much, you haven't learned that karma yet. And then you're going to keep getting more people and more people and more people that come in and do that until you recognize and start to really feel, you know what? I'm really good at what I do. And this is a perfectly valuable price. And my time is worth not arguing with people who are in victim villain mode. And I'm not going to judge them because I've been there before. My boundary is simply that I'm not, here's my price. When you'd like to schedule an appointment, we'll do that for you, and then I'll talk with you more, as long as it's not in victim villain mode. Very simple, right? And it's same with kids too. Like, where we teach our kids how to act, and when they come to us and say, like mom or dad, I'd really like to spend some time with you. And we go, oh, I can't, I'm sorry, I got to work. I got to take care of all this stuff. And I have all these things to do. And I can't play with you right now. Right there, you've just taught them how to play the victim, and you've just made them feel like the villain. What do you think they're going to do with others? Same thing right there. Whereas if instead you recognize that when they're coming to ask you for more attention or for help with something, and you catch yourself going into this, oh gosh, I feel so distressed about all these things I have to do, that's a moment to go, oh, you know what? Am I practicing good self-care? Am I having strong enough boundaries that I have time for them? Because if they're coming to me, that means that one, I'm not checking in with them enough to make sure they're getting enough time from me. And two, that I probably am wrapping myself up in the court of public opinion's needs of what I should be doing, and not giving time to my children, who are the most important people in my life. And that means that I'm also teaching them how to be codependent rather than how to be independent and interdependent. And that, when our kids do that, when our kids test us, is a moment to stop and check in within ourselves and say, okay, you know what? If my child is asking me for something, it's important for me to move my schedule around for them. And it's healthy. Like be grateful that your kids can point that out to you. Kids are way more connected to spirit and source, and usually when we're stressed out about obligations and burdens anyways, we're actually sending out a signal to the universe like, help me. And if it comes through your kids pointing out, doing something that stresses you out or asks more of you when you feel like you're already being asked too much of, that can be a good time to stop and ask, am I giving too much? Giving too little? Because there is the opposite side of that. In the first scenario, I'm thinking of a kid that doesn't ask too much, or maybe all they've been asking for is time from you. But likewise, our kids can play the other side of that. And if we have trained them that we won't tell them no, or that, adults are providers of self-worth and entertainment and material things, then they're going to keep asking and asking and asking for those things. And that's when we need to recognize, regardless of where they got that from, whether it's from us or from other adults in their lives or things like that, that is the time for us to affirm our boundaries and simply say, no, I'm not going to do this for you. You have options on how you can do it for yourself, or this is not going to happen because we've got these family rules, and I'm not going to argue. This particular topic is not up for negotiation, and leave it there. But again, it comes back to the reflection of the self. Are you taking care of yourself? Are you making yourself into a victim or a villain? And likewise, that's how you're going to recognize others in your life who are playing the karmic parts. Anyone who, when you give them feedback, or even, it doesn't even have to be feedback. A lot of karmics will, like, they'll hear you but not hear you at the same time. Like, you could be just telling them a story about a time that you went through with like, say, a past partner or a parent, and where you just really didn't like this thing that they did. And when you're interacting with a karmic, they'll probably try to kind of make it their own. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, I would never do that. Or, yeah, like, that happened to me. It was exactly like this thing that happened to me. And then they tell you a story, and it's like not quite anything like it. Or there's no acknowledgement that even if you had the same ABC things that happened, you're two different individuals who experienced it in a different way. Whereas, like, somebody who is in their divine partner path, whether they're your divine masculine and feminine or not, is much more likely to ask you more about it. Like, how did that feel? Or were you able to talk to anybody about it? Or what did you do? And at another time they might bring up something of their own, or, they're not likely to just jump in and go, oh my gosh, you need me to do this thing for you then to make sure that you don't ever feel like you did with so-and-so, or when you grew up. You know what I mean? It's very rescuer, rescuee type of thing. And likewise, and I'll leave this as the final thought in this one, just like victim villain mode stuff, the rescuer, rescuee thing, usually a karmic, they're caught in that rescuer, rescuee thing. Like, they'll be the dame or damsel in distress. Like, I need your help. I need you to do all this for me. I need you to support me. I need you to go run these errands. I need you to take me to these places. Like, they're not typically very self-sufficient. Even if they are, like, you might see them be perfectly capable of putting in the effort, and yet they're not. They're not. They're caught in that I need to be rescued role, and they often try to put other people namely you, in the rescuee, or the, yeah, they want you to be the rescuer and rescue them. The unfortunate part is they often then don't appreciate it, or it's kind of a false appreciation. Or really, I mean, true appreciation is getting yourself out of needing to be rescued a lot. And I know that one from personal experience very well. Like, true appreciation is not just thank you so much for doing this. It is making it so that people don't need to rescue you so much anymore. And likewise, on the other side, making sure that you are not in a rescuer role so much anymore. Like, if you're a rescuer, that means you are not practicing good self-care, and you are internally viewing other people as victims or villains. And then you are playing that out too. So if you're constantly being the rescuer, you're enabling the rescuee behavior and encouraging the victim-villain dynamics. And just as a short, step one to unwinding that, because I'm going to end this video soon, the place that you start is by having faith in them to be able to rescue themselves, and faith in yourself to be able to handle your distress as you pull yourself out of the codependent behaviors of victim, villain, and rescuer, rescuee. You can do it. They can do it. The world ain't going to fall down. And if they leave because you're saying I have faith in you and you can do this, or they continue to violate your boundaries even with that, then that's an indication that either this isn't a match right now, or this isn't a match. And that's a good thing to know. That's a good thing to know, to be able to clarify and to ask, what, do I feel like I need to stay with somebody who is creating all these situations that I'm getting wrapped up in, or I'm co-creating with them these situations that are keeping us in a struggle, a push-pull situation? Or am I going to work on my self-worth enough to know that I deserve a life of ease and comfort, and that I've been karmic, and I get it, and I know that when I did the best was when somebody believed in me. They let me process things in my own way, in my own time, and were there if I needed it, but did not just rush in to save me whenever things went to all crap, In any case, as with most of my videos, it's more my thoughts than a bullet pointed thing. So please feel free to leave in the comments any specific questions, or send me an email if you'd like more details about spotting karmics. Either way, remember that all things lead back to us, and that there is one of the biggest lessons in all of this is not to judge anyone else, because to judge another is to judge ourselves. You're not a victim, you're not a villain, you're not a rescuer, you're not a rescuee, you are a human. And a human who is worthy and deserving of comfort and abundance and kindness and respect and lots of ease and lots of fun. So put your best foot out and work on self-care, especially when you recognize karmics in your midst, or when you're being karmic. All right, everybody, see you in the next video.